The levels are different on maturity path. This one here, for example, is just the basic elements are in place. So maybe you're starting a business in Thailand. And then number two, the fundamentals are in place to sell and execute the business. You're starting to create value. You're supplementing commodity service offerings with more value-based offerings. You're starting to automate the delivery of the product and productivity. You're starting to use remote services. So you guys can develop this journey in steps to help assess your organization, but it also gives you alignment on where you're going. So if you sit down with your field leaders, you can say, you know what, you're at a level 3 because now we're starting to see that your business is starting to evolve. You know, the mix of your revenue is now migrating from commodity services to more high-value offers. What's the mix? Why is one office selling 90% commodity stuff, another one has successfully mixed up? That's how you get from a 2 to a 3. Then, of course, obviously the results in the fourth area, are you meeting the financial and non-financial objectives, and are you getting best-in-class results? So this is a step journey that can help your organization give some method to how to improve the business over a multi-year period. The second area, and I truly believe in this, I didn't in the past, but I truly believe it's a necessary form for creating value in the future and surviving, is to be ambidextrous. I truly think that organizations can innovate and deliver on operational excellence. Innovation is just key to your service offerings for margin expansion. You can only take out so much costs. You can only get so much productivity out of your service field organization or your contracting businesses. So you're going to have to figure out how to innovate and develop compelling offerings in addition to operational excellence. So the ability to build two cultures, one focused on operational excellence and one focused on innovation, is very, very hard if you're an engineer. And how many engineers are in the room here? Okay, I'm an engineer too. That's really tough because when you're an engineer, if the logic doesn't pass, you automatically want to solve the problem, you want to get a calculator out. That's not a culture that fosters innovation. Innovation is to ask 3 more questions. Hey, that's a good idea. It's about brainstorming, non-biased brainstorming. That's tough to do. But the goal here is compelling offerings that address unmet customer needs, not what you want to tell the customer. That's really, really difficult. It's being diagnostic as opposed to being prescriptive. So putting these are some things that when we sit down and talk with clients, these all have nothing to do with an offering. They're what's on the mindset of your customer. Let's see, we've got to make do with limited operating dollars, and capital projects are being deferred. Well, you know what that means to me? This is an asset extension opportunity where we're going to do overhauls, and we're going to extend the life of the asset so that he doesn't have to, because he doesn't have any capital. So we're going to run a calculator that says, should he extend this asset, should he overhaul it, and if he has to replace it, we're going to have a business case on why. So this is the way we got to start thinking about how we approach offer development in the services business. So it's really flipping it around and looking at what are the organizational objectives of your customers. How do they operate their facilities? What's their top operational priorities? Here's the key one that always ends up with a premium. You should be able to get a premium if you can define what a critical incident is for your client and how you're going to address that and mitigate it for them. That is a key area that you need to focus on as part of being a value-added service provider. Of course, everything's becoming ROI-based. If you can't ROI justify your service offering, you're a commoditized business. That's bad. You really have to figure out how to do that. And our tools have changed dramatically over the last 3 years to help our sales force sell. We typically would service this hotel. And we'd come in and we'd do a task-based service agreement. We charge labor at a certain rate, mark it up. Okay? That's not the way to sell. What we have now is what's called a benchmark analyzer. We come in and we will tell you very quickly how much energy this building's consuming, what its operating costs are, and we'll compare it to 3 hotels down the street. And we'll give them a benchmark that says, this is what your competitors are consuming and spending. This is what you're spending. And if you work with us, we think we can get you below your competitors, and this is how. That's a much different approach than coming in and just trying to bid on labor. That's the way the game has to change. So here's a little bit of a summary of what has been some of our most successful services offers throughout the globe. First one is it meets customers' objectives or unmet needs, economically justified. It's flipped, so it's really about innovatively thinking about what the customer is doing. It fosters good communication. I had this discussion at breakfast this morning. It communicates OEM knowledge to the customer, the depth and understanding of their systems, their capabilities, and our capabilities. It's differentiated, and it focuses on outcomes and performances as opposed to tasks and calendars. Performance-based service agreement. There's a retailer right now in America that makes 80 to 90% of their profits in only one department. You think it's perfume, you may think it's the ladies section or a men's section for shoes. It's not. It's the hair salon. But knowing that, we put together a service agreement that charges a premium because we give it uptime, we monitor it, and we have response time with less than an hour because we have a local tech positioned locally there. We were able to get a 50% premium because we knew that that was the most critical part of that store. So, potential to one or more concern, that was a concern. That's a good example of one. It's an identified need. Don't try to create one that doesn't exist. Move it from precise tasks and intervals, and measured in performance metrics, okay? Because otherwise you're going to end up selling labor. And that's a very, very tough position to be in and to get out of. This will be in the presentation. You pick it up. I talked earlier about when you sell a piece of equipment, the game starts. This is what we do over a period of 7 years with a client. We move from warranty to maintenance to predictive maintenance to contingency planning to facilities audits to overhauling their products to then high-performance solutions where we may do some performance contracting or actually run the facility. The whole goal is to move from being just an entry-level salesperson to being more confident, more intimate with the client, and being more of a partner. So our 3-year plan consciously walks through this journey with our best clients. And we inspect our offices. Do you have a journey of how you're going to take the client through this roadmap? So with that, let me give an example of just a couple other things about how to quantify an offer, and then I'll move on. Economic justification. This is a great concept, and if you don't have it in your business, think about it. Service costs have to offset cost avoidance. Because if they don't, just run it till it breaks is what we'll tell our clients. Because why pay for service if it's going to cost more than the cost avoidance that you're doing? So if you can't demonstrate that to the client, then why would you buy a service agreement or buy service? Run it to fail. So that's a key thing about figuring out how to quantify the value of service that you're providing, and does that exceed? And here's an example that I'll just do for a bank. Here's a service agreement for a bank for a piece of equipment. It doesn't matter what the equipment is, but the avoided capital cost, the avoided energy cost, and avoided repair and downtime is $11,450. That's the simple cost avoidance. The service agreement was $10,250. So it creates economic benefit of $1,200 per year. This is another tool because they're bankers, they want to see economic profit. And you can demonstrate that through some tables that the government publishes. That's how we will justify selling a service agreement and saying to the customer, this is why it creates economic profit for you. Okay, I've covered so far now the positioning around building competencies over a multi-year period. We've talked about the differences between services marketing and product marketing. And I just covered that you have to go deep in creating a services product marketing team. Just like you're running a business, you have to have great offers, and they don't happen by chance. The other thing is about talent. We have to feel comfortable that your best assets are walking out of the building every day, and you got to make sure they come back. Because those are the people that are the face of your business and the reputation of your business. So spending a tremendous amount of conscious time on services leadership is much different than in an equipment company. It's a core part of what we need to do. In fact, if you're not spending 60 to 70% of your time just focusing on talent and people, then that's an alarm bell as you scale your business. Because that's the people that are going to command a premium in the marketplace. So, conducting talent reviews, calibrating leadership on what competencies and capabilities. Technicians are great people. They make terrible service managers. So why would you want to take a technician who's a senior tech and make him a service manager who doesn't have P&L experience, and people just follow that path, and then all of a sudden you lose a year. So really understanding that a good service leader probably has good conflict resolution skills, probably has good collaboration skills, can set customer expectations, and has good P&L management skills. Those are our criteria for hiring a service leader. We just typically don't take a senior tech and put them into that role. But it's amazing how many companies do that. Good succession planning, and then building this feeder pool is really, really key. There's a study that was just completed by the Market Research Council